said, I think people should be prepared to be in a conflict. There are two responses in your brain. You've got the fight mechanism or the flight mechanism. Obviously, we all gravitate towards one or the other. It's kind of natural. And in some situations, if you get into a conflict, you're more likely to trigger one than you are the other most of the time. Although obviously it can change. If your mother's being mugged, you're probably going to go into fight, not flight. But we all have a bias. And as far as I'm concerned, if you can figure out what your response is and then train something that correlates with that, you're going to increase your confidence in a way that's extremely powerful. Just because you'll walk around thinking, if something was to happen, I've trained in my flight response. Like if you're good at sprinting, if you know you can run, or if you can climb, for example, parkour for me was a huge one. I feel confident running, climbing. I know I could get myself over a gate if I had to, for example. I know I can run well. So if something was to happen, my flight would kick in fine. I also think that, however, if you're confident in both arenas of that natural response, you will probably walk around feeling rather invincible, because sometimes you might not be able to run. If your mum's being mugged in front of you, you're going to have to get in there and fight.
Yeah.
So, and if you're not quite confident, you've never delved into that, again, it can be problematic. You'll fold and you won't be an asset to the people around you that need you. And ultimately, I think we are all going to face situations in our life that are going to trigger our fight or flight. It's almost inevitable. If you've gone through your whole life without ever having that instinct triggered in you, then you're like a monk or something. I don't know. But everyone's going to have moments in their life where that's going to happen. And so I think being competent in mainly your default one, but in both, is a huge part of being a better human. I guess it kind of goes back to that question you were saying, to be a better, more complete human, let's say. That's a huge factor for me.
Yeah, and I suppose even though it's not a martial art, movement and being conscious of your movement will help you in these fight and flight situations.
100%. They depend on the body. The body's the vessel. So if your body's weak and you're out of shape and you're immobile, your worth in that moment will decrease massively.
Yeah.
And I think that can, you could almost quantify that on, if you're going to be controversial, you could quantify that on a scale of, well, that human would be better there. He would be more of an asset in that situation than this one, because this one, either out of shape or whatever, or hasn't practiced or whatever. So I think that's quite important. And I think it does somehow, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I think knowing that you can respond and that you're competent in both those arenas somehow, as far as I'm concerned, will affect the way you carry yourself on a daily basis.